So this video is specifically about my obsession with advanced game. I think a lot of guys don't believe there's a such thing as advanced, and there's a few reasons why, right? The industry itself is kind of tailor-made for beginners, for newbies, for novices, guys just getting in. So all of the information that's out there, all of the programs that are out there is tailored to take a guy from a complete beginner to an intermediate. Now, what does that transformation look like? It means the guy can approach in a decent amount of situations, in a decent array of situations. It means that obviously he can stay in set, he can have a conversation, he can get man to woman. Most people only think of man to woman as just complimenting a girl, and that's what most guys do. They don't do anything else, right? They just say, you're so beautiful, like your legs, like your eyes, blah blah blah. Like that's it, right? There's no depth to it. There's nothing that's unique. There's nothing that stands out, right? That's showing intent for most guys, and the physical escalation is the same. It's they have a ladder to follow, very simple ladder, and in essence, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just you doing all of the work. So I've always been fascinated about advanced game, right? Like the quote unquote advanced game. Someone might ask, well, what is advanced game? Beginner to intermediate is more about doing, learning how to do, right? You're the one throwing yourself at the girl, plain and simple, right? That's what gets a beginner to intermediate. They learn how to throw themselves at the girl, right? So he's complimenting her like crazy. He's throwing himself at the girl, right? He accepts her completely, right? He's just looking for looks. He is physically escalating on her. She's not escalating on him, right? He's the one doing. He's doing, right? He gets the number. He's the one trying to set up the date. He's the one pushing if it falls through. He's the one, if she flakes, trying to say some cute gambit to get it back and to do this and to do that, right? He's the one texting the girl much later on to see if this lead is dead or not, all right? If it's still there, if it's still alive, if you can still use it, right? It's all about guys doing. That's what beginner to intermediate is. Advanced is more setting up things that allow her to chase, allow her to invest heavily, allow her to be the one to do, right? You're setting up the conditions, giving her the invitation to do. And this is kind of a mythical level because no one reaches there. 90% of the guys who teach and who approach are intermediate. Really, it's not 90%, it's even more than that. Way more than that. Almost all of the guys who are in the community, whether they're teaching or not, are intermediate at best. It really doesn't go past that. So I've always, since I found out about it, since it was a thing in my head, I've always been interested in how to make advanced game real, palpable, something that's repeatable, right? Systemizable, no, systematizable. I don't know if that's a word, but you understand what I'm saying, right? Always, 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 always. And there was a moment, there was a couple of moments actually that really sparked it for me where I really, really wanted to learn this, where I needed to learn this. One was a situation where I had a great time with a girl, out and about, day game, we're having a great time, making out, etc. And couldn't pull, did a little bit too much of the making out, was upset about that, right? Got a number afterwards, realizing if you give a whole bunch of validation up front, it doesn't really work in your favor, right? Because there's nothing, it's a complete interaction, it's a complete moment for its time, she's not going to follow up with that, right? So that one thing gave me the idea. I was like, I was like, well, how do I set it up so that she's investing more, she's willing to invest more, she's willing to invest of herself heavily and win me over, chase me, etc., etc. Right? And the techniques, the tactics, as you will, have been in the community for a long time. So qualifying, right? Push pull, takeaways, cocky funny, I think are all right, all part of that. And teasing kind of leads to that. Teasing is part of push pull, but these things are very, very important. They're fundamental to that. But most guys actually don't do any of that. They do none of that. Nothing of that sort comes out in what they do in field, in their approaches. So to be able to take something that's conceptual but no one uses, because no one's at that level for the most part, and find ways to make it applicable is what this whole channel is about. Man alive, this whole thing is about, right? Making that tangible, systematizable or systemizable, right? And being able to use it all the time. I had a couple of moments where I used little glimpses and pieces of it. One was this Indian girl that I was talking to in night game, right? And she was a Canadian girl, and I was like, yeah, I like Canadian girls, but they can be a little strange and weird sometimes, and maybe it goes a little off the rails, and I don't really want to stay and see if this gets off the rails. So I got up and left, turn, like back turn, takeaway, like a tease takeaway, and then she grabbed me and pulled me back. It's like, wow, there's something here. Another time was this little blonde girl, right? Who talking, night game setting as well. She gives me the Bambi eyes, ready to make out. But before I kiss, I asked her to ask me to kiss her. And then she did, and I jokingly turned her down. And then it came up again. I jokingly turned her down. We got separated. She went with her friends. I went to do some other stuff. She saw me, waved at me. I came back over. I should have tried to get her number outside of the bar, but I got it inside of the bar. But we were sitting down, she was giving me my number. She realized, right? She'd been rejected, quote unquote, twice. She realized that I was busy, that I was distracted. She looks at me, looks at the phone, looks at me, runs in for the kiss. Like, bam, we're sitting right next to each other. She's boof, you know? Like, whoa, that's never happened before. That's a new thing. That's a completely mind blowing experience, right? One was this Dutch girl that I stopped in the street. You know, at the end, we're going to do a little Instagram thing, uh, you know, for the Instagram exchange for the meetup. She was reluctant. And I said, look, I know that I have a big personality. I'm a lot to deal with. I'm definitely not one of the guys that you're used to. So, I understand your reluctance, but give yourself a shot. You never know what you can do. Something to that effect, right? Which is kind of frame flipping. And then she was like, "Oh no, wait, what? You want me to put my Instagram in?" And she dove right in to put Instagram in, right? Um, just those instances as well. Like I've known people who know people. It's kind of like a stretch thing, but the guys who don't they don't get physical first, but they bait girls to get physical with them, right? So, um, a friend of a friend that I, or a friend, a friend of a wing that I have, and he's also a friend, good friend of mine. This guy has girls touch him first, right? Maybe you'll say, "Oh yeah, I just did arm day." Yeah, go ahead, feel it, right? And she's touching him first. He didn't make any physical contact with her before. She's the one doing it. And also the idea from a forum that I got of putting a girl's hand on you, right? So whatever, you guys are sitting next to each other, standing next to each other, like you grab her hand and you put it on, right? It's kind of like, I guess, the concept of locking in, also in set when you're in the scene, making it look like she stopped and talked to you, etc., is part of that as well. But these little tidbits make it so it's juicy, right? These are tangible, these are real, and potentially, for sure, repeatable, right? It just needs to be systematized. It just needs to be brought out there. This other time, I opened the two set, one Korean, one I forget where she's from, Laos or something like that, and Korean one was, better looking. Did it solo. My friend came in later, which kind of threw the set off because he didn't really know what was going on, etc., etc. But first, know how beautiful you are, know you are so lovely. None of that, right? I asked her a question, she forgot, and I was like, "Oh, well, see, you're too busy staring at me and drooling over me. You couldn't even remember what to say." And she was like, "Yeah, I guess so." Right? Things like that, right? Little frame flips, little tweaks and tidbits like that, that amuses me to no end because it's possible to use advanced game. It's possible to do that stuff. So this is really what this channel is all about. Like the nuts and bolts and the tidbits and finding this out. Like I'm on this journey the same as everyone else who is even starting from a beginner, right? I'm not starting as a beginner, but I'm starting from, the standpoint of I've been in it for quite a long time, but now I want to refine and add these parts to my game specifically. So as you can tell, I'm very animated about this because this is what I like. This is the meat and potatoes to me. This is the good stuff. This is the stuff that when I was a beginner, I waited to do this stuff. So, you know, I'm gonna speak about this stuff as much as possible from here on out. Figuring that out as well, the systematize for myself, but not only for myself, for everyone listening. And hopefully you get to the level where you can actually use this stuff. If you're a beginner, if you're just coming up on intermediate, you can't use this stuff. But if you're intermediate looking to get better, you absolutely can. So stick around. Got tons of insights for you.